welcome to the year-ender cover story interview with Suhel Seth, marketing maverick, columnist, commentator, but someone who will always has a different take on every issue. So today we've got hold of Suhel and asking him to comment on the year gone by, the highs, the lows, the hits, the misses, and really his take, the big takeaways from the year. Suhel, it's been a very tumultuous year in that sense. We got out of COVID lockdown, we emerged out of lockdown, started meeting again, politics picked up again. We saw the famous Gujarat election. We saw the Congress hold its internal elections. Rahul Gandhi once again tried to reinvent himself. Kejriwal actually making a impact on a state outside. He did Punjab, but even Gujarat, which is Modi's home state. So his national ambitions have also got a fillip this year. So what is your big takeaway really from this year? Political first.
That while things in India change or seem to change, nothing actually changes. Now, you very rightly mentioned the Congress elections. The family is still in power. They may not be in office. It is what I used to say when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister, that Manmohan Singh was in office without the power. Sonia Gandhi was in power without the office. So, nothing changes. All of us believe that BJP is this ultra-democratic party, but try pissing off Narendra Modi and Amit Shah and see where you go. It can't happen. Look at all the dynasts who still rule. Mamta and her nephew still rule the roost in Calcutta, in Bengal. You have Stalin. I mean, odd name to live with in these times, but there he is. You've got KCR, you've got Jagan Reddy. Nothing changes in India. What is unique about India, I've always said, Priya, is there's so much of excitement in our lives that if we just put our daily lives on a reality show, we wouldn't need entertainment channels. I mean, look at the joke that goes on. A political party, which should actually be attempting to win elections, is trying to win the New York Marathon and preparing for that. A political party, which actually has great execution, is the worst communicator when they're in government, a la the BJP. Look at what's actually happening in three areas, which I want to significantly point out, as you mentioned. Number one, there is no question in my mind that Narendra Modi did a fantastic job with COVID, in managing COVID. Yes, there was a massive screw up when ventilators and oxygen ran short, but then, industry buckled up, everyone buckled up, and we got through that. Number two, all said and done, I've said that this is perhaps the cleanest union cabinet since independence. It's another matter whether people down the line are making money or not. But no one can say कि भाई मैंने मोदी से काम करा लिया. Chanda Kocher's arrest is a point in that direction. Padma Vibhushan, very close to Modi at one time. She was the silent de facto organizer of Vibrant Gujarat, got the Padma Vibhushan. She's behind bars. So what Modi said is, or what Modi's alluded to is that there are no favorites that he has and the law will take its own course. What is very dangerous are the following. The run-in that the government is having in a very calibrated manner with the judiciary. Now, earlier you could have gotten away because you had pliant CJIs, you had Ramanna, you had Bobde, these guys were clueless. Today you have Chandrachud, who is not only brilliant, he is academically very astute, deeply honest, and is a fair judge. So to take on the judiciary in the manner that the government and some sections of parliament has taken on is sad. Now, I totally understand where the government is coming from, quad collegium. You cannot have judges appointing judges. It's done nowhere in the world. But then there has to be a mechanism. My other thing is, I just hope as a run-up to 2024, the arrogance which today infests and infects the BJP doesn't rise any further because there is too much of arrogance. It's literally our way or the highway. The Congress were arrogant, but the Congress did it so smartly that you didn't know they were arrogant. These guys don't have the smarts. So they do it in such a way that people say, my God, these guys are really arrogant. अपने आप को समझते क्या हैं? But there are lots and lots of good signs. Never has an economy been more robust, although the significantly big challenges, the jobless growth, and most importantly, the wiping out of the MSME, which happened actually post-demonetization, and then COVID gave it a deathly blow.
And the GST.
But look at what's happened, Priya, in a country where there used to be so much of leakage, where benefit transfers were concerned. Rajiv Gandhi famously said, out of every 1 rupee, only 15 paisa reaches the intended recipient. Today, that's gone. The remarkable thing is, this government is so taken in by the surround sound of a temple or a mosque, beef or chicken, mutton or caviar, that the stuff that they've actually done has gone out of the window. And by the way, none of these ideas were their original ideas. Manrega, Congress, these guys implemented it. Aadhaar, Congress, these guys implemented it. Article 370 has been on the table for discussion several years ago. They implemented it. So point I'm making is that there's a lot of execution capability in the BJP, but in the government, there's very poor communication. I also believe that you cannot have a country that is going to be built in future on hate. This constant divisiveness, this constant battling between Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs and Christians, it does no one any good. I'm for a large part, I don't really care about which religion as long as the person is good. But to constantly berate people on the basis of their religion, all parties are doing it. I mean, all religious leaders are doing it. OVC does it with as much elah as, say, the VHP does. My point is, should we be worrying about these things when on the anvil is a $5 trillion economy staring us in the face? Should we be now worried about these things rather than try and overtake China as much as we can, given the kind of plight that China is in? Geopolitically, I have to say, Jaishankar is doing a fantastic job, but we don't need our external affairs ministers to be one-liner wits. They have to do policy without always being aggressive. There's a lot of aggression in this government. Yeah. It's almost every day as if they go out thinking that today is the day for the akhada. So those, to my mind, are some of the things that, perhaps we need to worry about. Where are we going? I have no question in my mind that 2024 will see Narendra Modi return as Prime Minister. I'll tell you why. There is no alternative. Sad, but true. I don't think Rahul Gandhi is interested in politics. Rahul Gandhi
Have you changed your mind about Rahul Gandhi? Because Bharat Jodo time,
I think Bharat Jodo is excellent. But if you look at all of that, when Bharat Jodo was happening, Himachal was happening, Gujarat was happening, but he wasn't there. He just wasn't there. And mere khayal mein, at least this is what I believe, I think Rahul Gandhi has gotten tired. Although this year, if anything, it was the year of the reinvention of Rahul Gandhi. There's no question. He has gotten rid of that Pappu syndrome. No one is now, making fun of him. No one is mocking him. But now the next step, as I said on one of your programs many weeks ago, is from here what? Hereafter, what will you do? You cannot run the Congress as if it were an NGO. So if it is not an NGO and remains a political party, what is going to be the separation between the church and the state? What is it that Kharge will do? What is it that the family will do? And will the family need to do anything if Kharge is in charge? Now, yesterday Kharge went and paid tribute to Narasimha Rao. To my mind, I thought that was a remarkable thing. See, it's time to bury the demons of the past. And if the Congress reinvents itself logically, and as a corollary, Rahul Gandhi will also reinvent himself and vice versa. So these are good signs for democracy. A democracy cannot be a single party rule.
In fact, I totally agree with you in that sense. But then if nature abhors a vacuum, so if Rahul Gandhi is not stepping in, then we have Arvind Kejriwal really biting at the heels, as you yourself said also. That's one of the remarkable...
I have always said he is the only genuine challenger to Modi. And I'll tell you why. A, he's a disruptor. B, he's an anarchist. C, he knows how to use... He plays the victim card better than anyone else.
Even
so
better than
in
Modi?
That sense, the guy is... Oh, he plays it better than Modi. And give him credit. The Aam Aadmi Party is only 11 years old. In 11 years, they're on the national stage as far as discussion is concerned. How many other chief ministers do you see being discussed on a daily basis? It also helps that he's chief minister of Delhi and most of our national media is headquartered in Delhi.
Yeah.
But the point is, he is making a difference. People are standing up and taking notice. And he's calling the bluff of the BJP. I mean, look at what they did just before the Gujarat elections. They tangled him in various knots. The guy got out of it and won the MCD. And he made the MCD elections look as if they were the US 2024 elections. I mean, who cares for a municipal body? But the amount of attention, the amount of, scope that it got was as if, God, we were fighting, some general elections in America. So obviously these things have changed. And I believe that if we get two things right, if we get our education policy and education implementation right, we will win. And if we get healthcare right, we will win. And I hope the government will now focus on these two very, very critical areas.
But that's one of the reasons why there is so much rhetoric of religion and divisiveness, is because it's also rhetorics of distraction, to keep us away from the real issues, which is the jobless growth, the economy. That's they still haven't figured out.
That's a very, very good point. When William Shakespeare was writing Caesar, and many commentators have written about the Romans, actually Indians and Romans have one commonality. It's the ability to be fickle and the ability to forgive and forget. You remember at one time we were all abusing Modi because of COVID. Now everyone says, yeah, but even I said, bahut badhiya kaam kiye. Indians have this uncanny ability to forgive and forget. Look at Mrs. Gandhi. 1975, June 25, she declares the emergency. 1977, she is thrown out. 1980, she returns. 1984, sadly assassinated, Rajiv Gandhi comes in. Bofors hits him. If Rajiv Gandhi hadn't been assassinated, he would have been back as prime minister. I mean, Indians, by and large, are very, very forgiving and very forgetful for two reasons. Number one, we really don't care. Number two, we are very, very selfish as a people. And this was brilliantly captured by Pavan Verma in The Great Indian Middle Class, when he wrote that book almost 15, 20 years ago. He said the great Indian middle class is actually the most self-serving class amongst all the classes in India. As long as unka ghar theek hai. I call it the garbage syndrome. The richest homes will take the garbage out of their house, put it in the service lane, or put it outside their door. Bahar ganda ho ki nahi, they don't care. But andar gandagi nahi honi chahiye. So this self-serving attitude of India will also be a major deterrent to our genuine progress. Number two, I think from an innovation standpoint, and that's why I said education is critical, we need to unfetter this whole nonsense about, education cannot be for profit. But those who can afford it, pay. Why should I or Priya Sahgal subsidize an IIT graduate's education when that joker is going to leave IIT and go abroad? Why should I? Most of these chaps, they study at our expense and then they leave. I mean, how much fees does a student in JNU pay? This is ridiculous. I can understand those who don't have the money. So the deprived must be given privileges and opportunities of privilege. But people who have the money must pay. Even I wrote about this even in the vaccination drive. In fact, I said, look, I've been given a free vaccine, but when vaccines become on payment, I will make sure that at least my staff and my help, I pay for them because I can afford to pay for them. So that someone who cannot afford it gets that vaccine. But, that's our culture. And I hope one day we redeem ourselves of that culture.
And also the challenges ahead, which he is very, elaborated and articulated pretty well. In fact, Suhel, that's one of the reasons I enjoy having an interview with you. I can just sip and have my coffee and let you do all the work. It's perfect. But, moving on, this is, as you said, we're also walking into the year 2024. What are the issues that you see? The leader is Prime Minister Modi. Will he again play up the rhetoric of the temple, or will the BJP now move on from religion to economy to other issues? China, what will be the issues that you see?
So this is a superb question. I have known Modi since 1999 when I handled Vajpayee's campaign. When Pramod Mahajan was there, Jaitley, all these people. Modi now needs to carve a legacy for himself. It cannot be a legacy built on hate. It cannot be a legacy which is, speared with people saying, "Par isne ye kiya, usne wo kiya." I think the next 2 years should be Modi's years of healing, where he heals. And you know something? There is no question that Modi is unarguably the most popular prime minister India has ever had. See, whatever you might say,
Out Indira Gandhi, Nehru.
way more popular. Please remember, Indira Gandhi had a war to support her. If you look at British prime ministers from Churchill to Clement Attlee to John Major to all these people, Churchill is remembered, apart from being a scoundrel qua Indians, but he's remembered primarily for being a wartime leader, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Uh, these were guys who were remembered for what they did during the war. My point here, Priya, is that Modi has everything going for himself. But there is also a surround sound led by a cabal of pseudo liberals. I don't even call them liberals, they're pseudo liberals who believe their single minded agenda should be to bring Modi down. To which my riposte has always been that Modi did not come in through the back door. He wasn't Santa who came down a chimney. He won an election. People voted for him. You cannot, on the one hand, say India is a great democracy and on the other decry its democratic choice, which is Narendra Damodar Das Modi. So I believe Modi should do 4 things. Number 1, he should start condemning insanely aggressive, parochial, partisan statements that are made by him, by his party and his government people. Number 2, Modi needs to move away from temples of worship to temples of excellence. I will worship the God I worship regardless whether Modi tells me or not. मैं अगर शिव भगवान का भक्त हूं, मैं तो भक्त रहूंगा ही. मुझे थोड़ी नरेंद्र मोदी की प्रेरणा चाहिए उससे कि भाई आप शिव भक्त बनो या हनुमान भक्त बनो. जो मैं हूं. But temples of excellence is what India needs. It's ironic that after the IITs and before that the Indian Institute of Science, which actually was formed as a result of a conversation between Jamshedji Tata and Swami Vivekanand on a ship, where are our temples of excellence? What have we actually built in our country for legacy? हम लोग ने क्या किया? We built stadia where either some goddamn IS officer and his ugly wife and ugly dog walk, and the ugly IS officer, so no one says, oh, you're being gender insensitive. Or you have people who are treated like crap. Third, to my mind, so temples of excellence, when I say they should be world-class learning institutions. All said and done, I mean, I'm no great fan of Amartya Sen, but I'm also not his critic. Whatever happened with Nalanda, politically, non-politically, you need to revive Nalanda in its true glory, which I think Modi may do. The third is Modi now needs to focus from a mere communication point of view in what the government has been able to do, not what the government has done. Being able, and I'll explain the difference. India is difficult to change because we are difficult to change. You ask an Indian, please stand in a queue, his first question will be why. Indians don't have the ability to answer, most of us. You ask an Indian, are you going to Bombay tomorrow? The answer will be, I've just come back from Coimbatore. Bhai, ab jawab to do prashn ka. So to get a country with this kind of mindset to change is difficult. But Modi must focus on that. My fourth, this is the year of G20. G20 cannot be run like an event management company. It cannot also be run through events. It has to be run through inclusive, integrated, invigorating, involved, engaged programs where the citizen actually feels part of this new and renewed India. You cannot have a new India if every Indian doesn't buy into it. So the outreach cannot be Biden. It has to be Bankim. Bankim in Meerut must be your target. Biden to aayega hi aayega because he is a member of the G20. So I'm saying from a strategic point of view, from a communication point of view, these are the four, from a strategic point of view, these are the 4 things that need to happen. I also believe, as you and I have discussed several times on this remarkable program of yours, I genuinely believe politics cannot be built as you go forward on hate. There must be inclusiveness, there must be engagement, there must be consensus. But for that, it is the government's responsibility. You remember Jaitley when he was in opposition and being asked that why is opposition disrupting parliament? He says it's the business of the government to run parliament. It's also the business of government to therefore make sure democracy works. Because Parliament is the epitome of Indian democracy. If you don't allow Parliament to work, you are not allowing democracy to flourish. So the question that you need to ask is what I always say from a marketing point of view. You never buy the brand, you buy the benefit. You don't buy Colgate, you buy the whitest teeth. You don't buy Surf, you buy the whitest wash. You don't buy Parliament, you venerate democracy. And if Modi can convert himself from autocracy to democracy and be that Sutradhar, the symbol of this renewed India, he will go down in history remarkably well. You know, there's a character in P.G. Wodehouse called Lord Fauntleroy. Of him, it was said that whenever Fauntleroy looked in the mirror, he erected his own statue. There are three people in contemporary history who have done that with great success. Winston Spencer Churchill, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Narendra Damodar Das Modi. And I don't grudge them at all. They have always been very careful calibrators of their own legacy. And I think the little that I know Modi, and I was the one who wrote in 2008, after having dinner with him in Gandhinagar, saying this man will become prime minister. 2008. I think Modi will go down in history as a significant force of change, and more importantly, as a significant force of good. But like all great people, they always assume they're immortal. So the ultimate thing he needs to focus on is succession. And as David Ogilvy famously said, when you hire people who are better than you, you become a company of giants. You hire people inferior than you, you become a company of dwarfs. So he must start looking out for a person who he believes is better, bigger, more robust, more invigorating, and more inspiring than himself. If he does that, it'll be the hallmark of great leadership. If he doesn't, he will still be remembered. But then again, as Shakespeare said, the good is oft interred with the bones, the evil lives long after. So the question he needs to ask himself is, does he want to be remembered as Julius Caesar, or does he want to be remembered as Brutus? Because of Brutus, it was said, this was the noblest Roman of them all. The elements were so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. That's a choice that Modi has to make. How do you want to be remembered? What is going to be your epitaph? How are people going to, 20, 30, 40 years down the line, when they pass your statue, what are they going to say? Are they going to say, Isne Bharat Badla? And say it with a great amount of pride? Or will they cock a sook and say, Isne Bharat Badla? So the question he needs to address. And to be fair, I don't think any human being has been more reviled than he has for no rhyme or reason. And even if there is a rhyme and a reason, he has been exonerated by the highest courts in the land. But to keep flogging the same horse with a whip of deceit, hate, vitriol is just not fair. Don't respect Modi, but respect the office. And I think he's really been given the short shrift. But this is for him now to control his destiny and carve a destiny of hope, laced with elegance and smeared with affection.
They said, I'm going to next time sell tickets for this interview because I have not enjoyed myself more. And what a lovely way to end the year. We've had Suhel Seth showing up along with William Shakespeare, along with P.G. Wodehouse, and along with the resolution for the Prime Minister, which I do hope he keeps, because I totally agree with what Suhel has said. The legacy needs to be carved, an heir needs to be found. Will he live up to it? What will he do? I think interesting points raised. Thank you again, Suhel, very much, and a very happy new year.
To you too.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.